Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Preimesberger, editor of eWEEK. Thank you very much for joining us today on this latest segment of eWEEK eSpeaks. It's a series of interviews with IT thought leaders that we publish on eWEEK and on our eWEEK YouTube channel. Our interviewee today is John Maddison. John is the CMO and the Executive Vice President of Products at security company Fortinet. John, welcome.
Great, nice to be here, Chris.
Is it Fortinet or Fortinet? I don't know.
I don't know, because I've still got slight an English accent there, so Fortinet, I say, but that could be English, the way I'm pronouncing it.
Like Castanet. Okay, that sounds good. All right, John, tell me a little bit about your role there and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, head up marketing here. I also head up the product areas. Actually, also one of my other areas is training and education, which has just exploded during this pandemic. And I've been at Fortinet about 8 years. The company's changed a lot. It's gone from about 2,000 people to 8,000.
Wow.
And before that, I was at Trem Micro. They were cybersecurity as well. So I think that adds up to about 18, 19 years in cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, about 10 years in infrastructure with Lucent Technologies.
Aha. So well-rounded background there. Tell us a little bit about Fortinet's specialty. What makes it stand out in the market? There's a lot of good security companies out there. They're all kind of approaching the security issues from a different angle. What does Fortinet say is its strength?
Yeah, well, actually, we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary next month, 20 years old. It was founded in 2000. The founders are still here, Ken and Michael Z. I report to the CEO. And I think right from the beginning, the focus was on convergence of networking and security. And we stuck to that. And we see that starting to accelerate now with things like secure SD-WAN and zero trust access. But we really focused on that conversion spot. You've got a lot of vendors who are networking vendors who are trying to add security and bolt it on. You have a lot of security vendors who are really software vendors. They're not really networking vendors. We do networking and security as well as possible. We'll accelerate that through some of our ASIC technology and cloud technology. We also have a broad portfolio. So there's 30 plus products in the portfolio that all integrate together. And so our two main goals are to converge things so you can put security anywhere across your network, and then to produce a platform that means that the customer doesn't have to install 30 point products that they can't get working. We have a platform where everything's integrated out of the box.
Now, that makes a lot of sense too, to have it all in one place. So is it actually the one pane of glass that you offer, like a lot of other companies like to say?
Well, I think it's easy to say single pane of glass. It's a lot harder to do when you're managing networking and security functions, when you're managing endpoint, WAN edge, web application firewall, access points, switch. I mean, if you're managing all those things, getting to a single console is very hard to do. Yeah. I think we're there. We can manage policy. We can do analytics. We can build automation. And I think our organic approach, we do some acquisitions, but they're very small. We believe big acquisitions just disrupt the ability to build a platform rather than help it. And so we build most of it organically, and that allows us to build things into the platform from day one.
How is the platform deployed? Is it strictly a cloud service, or is it a software that a company could dedicate a server to in a private data center?
Well, it depends. It depends on the application, the security application. It depends on where you're trying to put it. So we can deliver what we call form factor. We deliver it through an appliance. We're the only company to build our own ASICs inside that appliance to give you just enormous performance. We can deploy as an agent on the endpoint. We can deploy as a virtual machine in the east-west data center. We can deploy as a SaaS, as a cloud service, as a container. So it really just depends where you're putting that security against the threat vector or functional component of that network on the form factor you use. We try and, for each one of our products, we try and deliver it in all those form factors, as many as we can, to give you flexibility.
Right. Choice is always good. It's never bad when it comes to a customer, because the use case is going to differ almost all the time, and the requirements are going to differ all the time. So that makes a lot of sense. With the coming of the COVID pandemic this year, which has affected everybody at every level in society, how does this requirement, how does this outside influence affect the customers that you have, and what has Fortinet done to provide service for remote workers more so than you have in the past?
Yeah, well, it came very quickly, as we know. And interesting stats from Gartner saying that before the pandemic, 4% of employees were at home. It went to 90%. It's going to go back down to 30% by the end of next year. Who knows exactly where it's going to end up? But we had customers who had only 5 to 10% of their employees will work from home, and they wanted to go to 100%. So we had customers who had 1,000 people, they wanted to go to 50,000 overnight. And so the good thing is our systems are able to do that. Again, due to our architecture, we could offload things like SSL that allowed them to add work from home users just instantly. Now, what we're also seeing is that's very traditional, though, the traditional kind of VPN architecture,
Right.
VPN client, concentrate on the data center. What we're also seeing now is customers want to be more flexible as they realize that employees are going to be on and off the network, sometimes traveling, sometimes not traveling for months. Then you need this zero trust architecture that gives context as to who the person is, what device is it, a trusted device they're using, are they on the network, off the network, which applications they're trying to get access to. Once you provide that contextual information to the access criteria and policy, it gives you a much better way of allowing access to the right applications in a very secure way.
Can you just define zero trust for me as opposed to what's not zero trust, just in case some of our readers may not understand that term?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the industry is pretty bad at taking acronyms and making it appear it's like their solution. So I usually will give you the Gartner, that's a Gartner term. Actually, I think it's a Forrester term, but it's become a Gartner term. There's the SASE term as well. You probably heard recently as well. I wish the industry would stop taking these acronyms and making stuff up. But for us, zero trust network access, it's in the name. You just have zero trust of anything trying to access the network, whether it be a user, whether it be a device, a managed device, an IoT, whether it be OT. And once you've established the zero trust for those, you have to apply a set of rules and context to allow it access. And unlike a VPN tunnel where once you're in to everything, you just have this giant pipe. I think zero trust network access, as it moves forward, will give you specific access to parts of the network or a specific application.
Yeah. Internal security breaches, or people, are often the issue with security. How does zero trust help guard against some disgruntled employee at a company that wants to cause damage? Is that the best way to, using a zero trust kind of a system, is that the best way to guard against internal issues?
Yes, I mean, you need to apply policy as well. But I think as the zero trust model moves forward, you're going to start applying behavioral analysis as well. So the other thing you need to look at once they're on the network and associated with an application is their behavior normal? Are they usually in some country somewhere else at 2 a.m. downloading these files? No? All right, we'll stop it. Stop that activity. So what we call entity and user behavioral analysis type systems will be applied on top of zero trust to start to monitor, see if that's normal behavior of that particular user, and to make sure you can stop some of that activity.
Yeah, and just a couple minutes left. Let's talk about the future of work. You mentioned that Gartner said that people were 4% working from home. Now 90% is going to go back down to 30%. I don't know how they know that. I have a feeling it might be higher than 30%. I think a lot of the processes and the software and the tools that we have now work just fine if you can work from home. A lot of people can do that. What do you think about the future of work, and how is Fortinet security going to fit into that?
Well, I think you're somewhat right, but I also see a lot of times, that people still want to collaborate and things can get done much faster, collaboration in a face-to-face manner. However, what we've also found is that you can get hold of people more quickly because you know where they are. So I think there's pros and cons of that. I do think long-term we'll go back to I would say somewhere around 30 or 40%. and let's see how it goes from there. I do think that people want to collaborate more closely. We're actually just building out our first phase of our new campus here in Silicon Valley with some great technology allow people to collaborate very well. So I think from a technology perspective, we're still seeing that convergence of security and networking. We call it security-driven networking, where you can put multiple applications, multiple parts of the network, and then you can apply security to the WAN edge, to the home edge, to the data center edge, to the cloud edge as you go forward. We also integrate the LAN edge inside there as well. So you have total flexibility, because what's going to happen is users and devices are going to keep moving around on and off the network. Applications are going to keep moving as well. They've moved maybe from mainframes to the data center to client server to now cloud. Well, we see another trend coming along called edge compute, where the compute is going to get closer to the applications, especially in manufacturing. So applications will be on the move again. So the ability to put security anywhere, the ability to apply that context for any device getting on the network, and then a platform approach where you can provide that context across everything is going to be very important.
That's a great summary, John. Thank you very much for that overview and for touching on some of the trends that we're seeing today. And, you're right. I do miss personal contact. I miss going to press conferences myself and shaking hands with my interviewees. And I do miss that. I don't miss the travel a lot, but I do miss personal contact. And you're right. I think we're going to want to get back to that. But it's nice to know we have these remote tools that work well, and that you've got a platform like Fortinet that can protect all the data in all these data flows. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate your insight. Thanks for your time today, John.
Thank you, Chris.
CMO and EVP of products at Fortinet. And for everybody following along on this issue of eSpeaks, thanks very much and have a great rest of your eWEEK. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.